Free thinkers, I must say this to say, a while back, my wife and I went to a function, and my wife is don't like going out to functions. But we went out to this function, and at the table, once we got seated and we sit down, they let us know that our meals will be ready and for us to come and get our meal. So it's a couple's night, and we're not to couples function, and I have never told my wife to do this. She just does it, and I'm not going to say I like doing it. She thinks that is a part of her role as a wife. And I used to tell her I'm a grown man. I could get up and get my own meal, and she'll tell me sit down. So this is years of going back and forth with her that I could go get my own meal, and it hasn't worked. Has not worked. And we've been married for 40 years. So we're at this event, and my wife got up from the table, um, went and got my meal, brought it to me, and cut up the meat that was the meat was in front of me, and then she put the knife and fork down. Now I'm looking around the table at these other women looking at her, and I'm looking at the husbands looking at me. So my wife said she's going to excuse herself to go to the ladies' room. She'll be back. And I just knew this was going to happen. The women got up from the table to went to the restroom. I guess they went to go check her. So while I was at the table with the men, they said to me, how did you get your wife to do that? I said, do what? Get your meal, brought it to you, and cut up the meat in front of for your meal. I said, I didn't get her to do that. That's just something she has done for our entire marriage. I used to disagree with her of doing it because I could do it myself, and she would let me know this is a part of her being a wife, even though I don't know what part of that, in what whatever order she has that in, but I'm not going to argue with her about that. If that's what she wants to do, I'm not making that an issue. So um, they came back out of the restroom, and I want to say it's a table with 10 couples. Okay, yep, table with 10 couples, and six out of the 10 women who came out went to the table to go get their husband's meal. While they didn't cut up the meat, they put it in front of their husbands. There's four that came to sit down with their hands crossed, with the Angry Bird face. And I said to my wife, what happened? She said, I'll tell you about it later on. So then they put some music on, and we're dancing, and the other six women husbands are up dancing, acting like kids, and the other four, they're sitting there with their husbands looking at them like, what happened? And they're not budging. So they sat back at the table. The other six women, you see them went from, when you don't want to be someplace to now want to be someplace. Like, you were invited someplace, but you really didn't want to go. But, you went because the other person told you to come. Now they're enjoying themselves. The other four are just sitting there, not engaging. The other husbands are sitting there laughing with me, and we talking, and you see the wives now, interacting with my wife, and how they interacting with their husbands, and we're having a very good time. So my wife went and got me a beverage and came back, and one of the ladies said to me, one of the four that was sitting there says, is there anything wrong with your hands? I said, there's nothing wrong with my hands. Why can't you get up and get your meal and get yourself something to drink? I said, because if I get up and go get it myself something to drink or a meal, she's going to have a fit. Because she's going to tell me that's her job. And one of the ladies said to me, well, it's not her job. You're a grown man. She's not your mother. So I said, I am a grown man. She's not my mother. She's my wife. And if that's what she wants to do to make me happy, if she thinks that's makes me happy, then I'm going to allow her to do it. Maybe if you get up and go get your husband something to drink and something to eat, the look on his face won't be the same as the other three right there. The other three women that are sitting there now, you could see that they want to go do it, but I don't know who she is to them, but they didn't want to go do it. So I say this to say how, depending on the woman and the women that she's around, she could bring into a different change into relationships. And some, you can't save everybody, but you can save some. Some of these women get into relationships where they think they're not supposed to be nurturing, kind, or loving to their husbands, but have no problem asking him for stuff when they want things. You have no problem with him going out there every day, working hard, coming home, maintaining your lifestyle or your lifestyle, but you don't want to participate in everything else. And you think other women shouldn't participate in anything else. I've had women tell my wife, wife would tell them she don't like that type of a hairstyle because my husband don't like me to wear my hair like that. And they'll tell my wife, well, that's why they're not married. And that's why they get to do whatever they want to do. And I've seen these women lifestyles. They look way older, even though they're the same age as my wife. They look more stressed out, even though they shouldn't be stressed out. Some of them even buy luxury cars and not understanding that these cars that they're driving are not supposed to be lowered like that, because they don't know to take the car to the dealership to make sure that the car is running correctly. That's not something that my wife has to worry about. As she says, she's inside and I'm outside. Everything inside the house is her responsibility, and everything outside the home is my responsibility. So marriage is a two-way street, but you're going to always end up in the same street. Because if you're not in line to go on the same street, then you're going to be apart on a two-way street. There is no such 50-50 in a marriage, in my opinion, because there's days where she's going to be doing 100% and I'm doing 0. And there's days where I'm going to be doing 100% and she's not going to be doing anything. Like, for instance, I'm more out working 7 days a week sometimes, and she'll work 6 days a week. Why is she working 6 days a week? Because we have jobs and we travel a lot and we need time to take off to go to our properties. Me, I don't need the time, I have time. But she wants to make sure that whenever we're going away, she has the time to go away. So when we talk about relationships, it has to be worked on. And trust me, we have to work on ours, and we have to put God first and remove the people that are on the outside that have no idea what marriage is about, because they're listening to other people about their marriage and how unhappy they were in their marriage. And when you ask them why they're unhappy, some of the questions they give you are ridiculous. Now, they left their homes, children, husband, to go out there to have boyfriends, because the only person that committed to them was their husband. Now, this new person don't want a commitment. He just wants the fun girl. And everybody wants a fun girl, because then you don't have to grow up and take care of the fun girl. There are some relationships where you may not want to get married because of wealth and asset, and that's understandable, because you may not know how to break up the wealth once he gets to that point. But it is one of the greatest things to find a life partner that you gel with and knows your strength and make sure that your weaknesses never pop up. Because your weakness is their weakness and your strength is their strength. So, marriage is something that has to be worked on constantly, consistently, open mind, because your side may not be the right side always. And sometimes, coming from a female perspective, you could understand it, why that she's saying that. Because my wife says to me that I'm listening, that I'm hearing, but I'm not listening. I hear what she says, but I'm not listening, she says. And there are times where I don't do that, but I do hear what she's saying. But a lot of times she's doing it from an emotional standpoint, so I have to take it as a grain of salt and still make the decision. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens, she's going to come and let me know that you made the decision. I know what I said, but you made a decision. So people and my free thinkers, take marriage as this. You have to nurture it. It's like a garden. Remove the weeds that shouldn't be there and plant new seeds to make sure that they grow. Because that's what marriage is. Constantly growing. So for my free thinkers, this is what I think about marriage. Keep letting yours grow and flourish. Keep the outsiders out. And make God be the first person in your life every morning within your marriage. Free thinkers.